Hello everyone, it is Mr. Kool back with another YouTube video, and today, I know it's been a while, I'm pretty much a month behind, but today we're going to be talking about the top 10 Five Nights at Freddy's games. There is exactly 10, and today I am rating those 10 based on my personal opinion and based on ratings. Mainly based on my opinion, because I've watched gameplay, I've played most of the games, I own most of the games, um, and today we're going to be talking about the best ones. Yes, I am. I am basing this based off of in-game gameplay. Not as much of the lore, because if I wanted to base it off of lore, some games would definitely hit a different part of that list. But I'm basing it on how interesting the game is, how much fun the game is, and how scary it is. And yeah, so let's get right into it. So my first opinion with the games, let's get back. Okay, we have Fnaf World. Fnaf World is the lowest rating game with a 3 out of 5 stars rating. Um, Also, a lot of people disliked this game. There was a lot of interesting things to do with this game. I personally love Fnaf World just because you could. I like just unlocking all the characters, but once you unlock all the characters, they're kind of it's not fun anymore. But there's a lot of bosses to beat. There are a lot of trophies to earn in this game. There's just a lot going on. There's a lot in this game that go on. And yeah, you also get little weird mini games like Freddy in Space here, and other games. You go in through a glitch world, and there's a lot of interesting pieces. I just think a lot of people disliked this game because of how cartoonish it was, how much of a haha laugh in your face that it was, how much of the original Five Nights at Freddy's it wasn't. Also, I think there should be an updated version because this game only goes all the way up to, I believe, Fnaf IV. So if they would do an updated version with newer characters, I would love to see that, like Fnaf World 2.0. But yeah, that's just my opinion. But yes, Fnaf World overall was a poorly rated game, and no one really liked it. But we can move on from that. Next, we have Fnaf 3. This one is based on my personal opinion mainly. I hated Fnaf 3. I thought it was so boring. I thought there was nothing into it. There's only one animatronic that can really kill you, and that's Springtrap. All the rest of them are phantom animatronics, and they cannot kill you. Now, yes, this game was lore filled. We definitely found so much more about Springtrap, and but this video isn't about the lore. If it was about the lore, I maybe do a separate video if you guys want to see that. I will base off games based on how great it was and the lore and the sneak part of it. But this game was just boring. There wasn't much going on. Um, Springtrap was the only animatronic out there, and it wasn't that interesting of a game. Yes, it was interesting that we got a vent concept. You actually get to close off the vents, and you had to actually have more circulation, more just audio, and you had to like keep on redoing that. And there was a lot of tasks. Don't get me wrong, that made it a harder game. But having only Springtrap, that's yeah. I mean, Springtrap's concept design was so scary. You could definitely see that he was a real life human being. It wasn't just a suit like it normally was. So that definitely did make it a scarier concept, but it wasn't like the rest of the FNAF games. I felt like it was just a little lower. It was a higher rating game than most. It received a 4.7 out of 5 stars, but I don't think that kind of really, I don't know. A lot of people either love the game or hate the game. I personally do not like the game, but hey. Next we have FNAF 1. It was very close of a call for FNAF 1 versus FNAF 3. Yes, FNAF 1 is older. It's the oldest game, and maybe that is why it is not as scary. But I think it's still creepy. You have a lot more animatronics. Also, Golden Freddy was freaking scary. You have all 5 of the animatronics going on. Foxy's running at you. Yes, they don't jump scare you as much, but like just the creepy bits where they're looking at the screen and the end screen and the fact that you can run out of power and Freddy's just winding up his little box, and it's just so much. Like, you were so confused at that point. You're like, what's going on? There's more to this game. Is there more to this game? And that's why I love FNAF 1. It's just the original concept of having it. Now, yes, it is not as good as some of the other games, some of the more new games, and that's yes, like I said, probably based on how old FNAF One is. FNAF One is from I think 2000 what 14, 2015 ish. That's just so old. FNAF One did receive a 4.6 out of 5 stars, so it's still a higher rating game, but it's just it's so good, but it's not like it's just I think it just for that time era and time period, it's scary, but for like 2020, 2019, it's not that scary anymore. So next we have FNAF 2. I love FNAF 2. It is my favorite FNAF game that I have played. I haven't played all of them, but I love FNAF 2. FNAF 2 received a 4.6 out of 5 stars rating, so it is the same as FNAF 1. I think it was cool because you got more of a vent concept, you got more of an open area, you weren't as enclosed. So maybe people who have that claustrophobia didn't feel as claustrophobic, but I honestly think that's scarier because you have more area for more things to come in. Um, I think the reason why I like this game so much more is because there's so many more animatronics to deal with. You have the marionette, or as people know it, the puppet, that you have to wind up the music box, and it's so much harder, and it's scary, and you have animatronics with their faces and their limbs ripped off, and you have the new animatronics that have more of a doll-like, so you get creepy, old animatronics, and then you have creepy doll-like animatronics, and they're climbing through the vent. You have to keep your you have to have the Freddy mask on, and they just go in your office right in front of you, and it's so spooky. And honestly, I think that's so cool. Especially, I love on the videos, like when you clicking onto the cameras, it just gives you more of an eerie, like actual pizzeria vibe. Especially when they're like in the bathroom with the tile flooring. It's just such a creepy concept because it's like a bigger area and FNAF. It's just everything, and there's so many more. You also have Golden Freddy there, and all the new animatronics, old animatronics. You even have Mangle, which Mangle is so creepy, biting down from the ceiling. Foxy's actually jumping at you, and that's why I placed FNAF 2 just a little bit higher than some of these other games. Um, so next we have Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. This one was also very hard to say whether it was a spook factor versus like an interesting factor. The reason why I thought this game was so interesting is because you have so many different concepts in this game. You actually get to build your own restaurant, and I think that's really cool. You also get to check on the scrap animatronics, and that's also really cool. Get to see like the scrap like Lefty, Scrap Trap, Baby, it's just all of them, and it's so creepy, like Molten Freddy 2, and just you get so much also lore. But I think seeing those animatronics like in the back alley like that, scrapped, it's just really creepy. And you have a lot to go on. You have to actually do like more of like a desk job more than a night guard job. But you have to deal with them coming at you and the vent system and the heat, and you have to deal with like printing out flyers and stuff like that. And I think that's where I think the concept is cool. It was more of a unique game, I would say, a very unique game than some of the other ones. You also get newer animatronics that we never expected to see, like a bunch of like the frog, the hippo, the elephant. You get a lot of those, and you also get to play like mini games that are creepy, like the dog mini game, or not dog, but she's running around, kind of like in the maze, like a fruity maze, kind of like Pac-Man. And then it's slowly just her dog, and then her dog is dying, and it's just creepy. But there's so much to this game that I also love, and that's why it received a higher spot on this list. It also received a 9 out of 10. I couldn't find a out of 5 rating, but a 9 out of 10 rating is still pretty good. Um, and a lot of people did like this game. It was very childish and kind of reminded me, especially kind of like FNAF World. And a lot of people at first thought this was just a troll, but it turned out to be real. And yeah, so next we have FNAF 4. FNAF 4 is creepy on so many levels. Yes, they're all nightmares, but these nightmares can actually kill you. So Nightmare himself and Fredbear are both really creepy. I think the concept of sharp teeth, sharp claws, exposed wiring, everything just made this game so much more creepy. And yes, you have times with Plush Trap, you get Balloon Boy, you get Nightmarion, you get all of these creepy animatronics in your room, and you have this bedroom concept, which is the worst, I think, concept in my opinion. Because yes, the other games, yes, you're playing in more of an enclosed space, but as a night guard, you're kind of just sitting there and you're like, okay, well, this is just a restaurant. Now you put it into a bedroom. Kids playing this game could pretend it's their own bedroom, and they start to think it's like their own bedroom. And I just imagine lying awake at night thinking they're going to come out of your bedroom door or your bedroom closet. It's just more of like a reality thing. You're stuck in someone's house, and I think homes are so much more creepy than restaurants. Also, you had to run around. This was one of the first games, I think, if not the first game, in the FNAF universe where you're actually walking around, which is so creepy. And I think opening a closet door is such a creepy thing because people already have fears of the dark and fears of their closet. And just imagine a foxy popping out, and it just made the game so much more creepy. Every single animatronic, just seeing it the way it is, sharp teeth, you actually come to that concept. This is how people perceive these beings. At first, you're just like, okay, yeah, they look like that. That's like how a mascot looks. But some people see them like this, where you have the sharp teeth, the sharp claws, and everything. And I think that's why FNAF 4 was such a great game. It definitely upped the game. And this is where Scott really was just like, I'm going to start making these games as scary as possible. Or like, this is where the lore really kicked in, where you could actually see it. He definitely put more detail than a lot of other games, and that's why I think FNAF 4 was did so well. It is not as like a high rating, but it received some of the lower rating. It's not low in any other standards, but for a FNAF game, it received 4.5 out of 5 stars. That is great, but that is the second lowest rating for a FNAF game other than FNAF World. But I still believe FNAF 4 is creepy on so many levels. So next, we have FNAF AR. I have just recently seen Markiplier's gameplay of this, so I've never actually played it myself. It is creepy. I don't think it's the creepiest. It was hard to pick between this one and the next spot, but yes, the reason I put it at this spot was because I think it's. I mean, yes, having it on your phone is creepy. And you can play it in any space, and that makes it creepy. But I mean, it's kind of like wherever your phone is, kind of wherever it goes. And I think having a phone game or like a tablet type game isn't as scary as some games, you would say. Yeah, it's more like a real life version, especially if you're playing it in your own home at night. That's creepy. Making FNAF, taking it home is creepy, but also the game's kind of confusing and kind of like silly. I think because it's a phone game, there's only so much you can do for mobile games and tablet games. But yeah, I have never played it myself, but I mean, if it is spooky to you, yeah, it's kind of easier to beat. If you know what you're doing, it kind of just gets boring because it's kind of repetitive as I've seen Markiplier play it. But I mean, it's still kind of creepy. It is the newest addition to the franchise, and I mean, maybe over time it might change a little to how I perceive it. But yeah, that's why it is. It has received so far a 4.5 out of 5 rating, also tied with FNAF 4, and like I said, the second lowest out of after FNAF World. So it still hasn't gotten a gooder or a better rating than some of the games. But yeah. So next we have FNAF Sister Location. So FNAF Sister Location received a 9 out of 10. I couldn't find it out of 5, but that's a really good rating. The reason I had such a hard time placing FNAF Sister Location is because of the concepts, but then I kind of thought like the game itself is so quiet, and I think quiet games are more eerie, and that's why I placed it so high up. And also when you're like playing with the mini arenas and they're coming and they're all like crawling in, that's such a creepy experience. It's like a bug-like experience, and people hate bugs, and that's why I think having little, especially the sound they make, is like such a creepy sound. And the animatronics, how they had their face, like yes, it's a doll. Like a lot of people do not like the doll concept. So you got a bug concept, a doll concept, and then the fact that their faces open up and pop out at you, that is just a whole other level type of thing. I don't know what that would be called, but that is so creepy on so many levels. And I think having all of that kind of put together made Sister Location so high on this list because it is creepy and cool, and there's a lot of lore into it as well, and a lot of people liked Sister Location. It was definitely a turn. There was such a difference when Sister Location came out. It definitely changed the franchise like no other game did. So next we're talking about we're gonna do Ultimate Custom Night is next. So it is on this list number 2. It is not the number 1 spot, but the number 2 spot. I personally think it's creepy in so many levels because there's every single animatronic, even random ones that shouldn't even be there, but they're so creepy and it's so hard of a game. I personally would have put it in a lower category, but this game, out of every other game, received a 10 out of 10 rating. Everyone liked this game. There were so many different animatronics, so many different concepts, so creepy. Um, Dee Dee popping up, you couldn't ever tell. Even Candy Cadet, even just moving the slightest, caused people to panic, and your power's going down. You have to manage the heat. You have to do venting. You have to do so much different things in this game, and it's like every other game put into one. Um, it's not as I mean, I personally wouldn't say it's on the scare factor. After doing it so many times, you probably don't even realize it. But you never know who's gonna pop up, which makes it even scarier because you might not like this animatronic and they pop up, and you're like, oh, I can deal with these animatronics, but then someone new pops up and you're just like, no, and it's just so scary in that way. Also, having it receive such a great rating definitely makes it such a good game and such a high place on this list. So our number one, I would have to say, is Five Nights at Freddy's VR Help Wanted. Yes, I saw so much gameplay of this, and I would not play it because I don't play virtual reality, but just playing it made it so much more spooky. You had Glitch Trap, I think they call him Glitch Trap, is coming at you ever so slowly from your doorway, and that's so creepy. You have such an open area, and you have the play counter, and that's so cool. You could just play, and you have these tapes you have to get. And I think listening to the tapes is just so creepy because you're just hearing all these crazy stories. But I think, especially the newer concepts, the vent repair, I think, and the parts and service were so creepy, having to deal with Ennard and Mangle, and then for the parts and service, you have to deal with the original four. But I think just having virtual reality, it's actually like it feels so much more real. Like it's actually like the game, but it's real right in front of you. And it's like you're in, like, say you're playing the Fnaf 4, or yeah, the Fnaf 4 in the VR. It's so much more creepy because you're actually having to go around and like feel like you're there, and having glitch trap there, it's like almost like they can touch you. And I feel like if you feel like it can touch you and like it's gonna come at you, like how the game is meant to have it targeted, that glitch trap is going to go inside of you. That is so creepy, and it's so interesting just to have it right in front of you, hearing it, being there, touching it in a way. I think that's what makes it the creepiest game out of all of these games. It also received a 4.7 out of 5, which is a higher rating out of some of the games, and I think, yeah, that's why it got the rating that it received. And yeah, so that's my list. If you guys agree, definitely leave a like. Comment down below if you have your own opinions, and if you wanted me to do a different type of rating for the games based on different aspects. But until then, I missed you guys. Maybe I'll start doing more videos. Probably not. But I'll see you next time. Bye.